everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I bankrupt joined again by Jason, Jimmy, and Fluff.
What's up, guys?
Why did you do Jason first?
Because Jason is first.
Well,
Jason's my opponent in today's matchup, so I figured I would also mess with you. But yeah, it's me versus Jason. I'm bringing out SS4 Bardock, a deck I've actually never played. This is the first time I've ever played it, versus Dripku. So let's get into today's matchup. Figure this out.
Yeah, this was a very interesting matchup. This is the second time I played against the Bardock, and I completely forgot what it did until we started playing.
Yeah, so for those unfamiliar, pretty much this engine came out during last anniversary box. Cards have effects when played or place an energy, and then some cards have an additional effects when played. So just trying to remember, like, look at the card, read it, like, okay, cool. Hang on to this for this effect, hang on to this for that effect. I will say a clutch card for this particular, actually there's two cards for this particular matchup that actually come in very handy because they actually can't target Unisons, and that's kind of where I have to kind of make my approach against Dripku. Because if you let Dripku just build his markers up and get like the big Gohan out, that's a pretty rough matchup. But you are a mono yellow deck, which kind of benefits the SS4 Bardock engine.
Yes.
Dripku, how you liking Dripku? So you've been hopping back and forth between a couple decks here and there.
I like it a lot. The reason why I've been hopping back and forth is because there's been quite a few people played at the shop, so I'm just trying to. This weekend, nobody was playing it, so I figured it'd be a good chance to whip it back out and see what I could do with it.
I mean, Jason's always out here whipping it out.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
I'm sorry to say, Jason, but in the rules handbook, that's not allowed anymore. I am going to have to suspend you for a couple weeks, but you can come over to my house and whip it out.
Well, any action I can get.
So here, going over an effect right here, which this will cause your Unison to be negative a bit because I have another multicolored black card in my energy, so its auto will proc. And even though I'm 11k and I could swing at your leader, my approach here is kind of similar to I think you played Jake on camera like last week, and he kind of mentioned the idea of or a couple weeks ago, pushing for Unisons, or it might have been Tracy, regardless. And that's kind of my approach here, is that if I can stall you out and make you crit your own or take your own life with your own swings, I get to turn 4 and feel more comfortable than potentially pushing you into an awakened state earlier than I need you to be at. So having Unison always swing at felt pretty nice.
Yeah, because especially I play like at least 2 or 3 Unisons each turn, so that was not a bad idea. It definitely kept me from awakening when I wanted to. Because I can only like take 1 life per turn, so it definitely slowed me down quite a bit.
So to talk about the SS4 Bardock deck, it's a very unique deck in that you actually get auto triggers when charging a card, which is not a lot of cards in the game that do that, and the archetypes built around it. I did notice I did get to play you this night as well. And I noticed that sometimes your charges were not in a optimal path. I found that when I was playing Bardock that I never really wanted to charge the blue first, because that has one of the better effects of causing your opponent to discard 1 and draw 1, which is great hand knowledge. Based off of what they discard and what they value in their deck, putting it in there. It's a very subtle thing in the SS4 Bardock deck. But did you find that your pathing on energy was also tripping you up, saying that this was the first time you're playing this deck?
So my option, I think, on this, because I actually had 1 of each color. I had the Gohan that rips a marker, the red that negs a Unison or a battle card, the blue which could like you mentioned, makes your opponent get rid of a card and then draw another card, or this yellow one for potentially in this case a rival bring it to the board, which if I recall correctly on play will actually negate a Unison's skills. So with those 4 cards, my best choice was to charge the blue one, turn 2 charge the red one to get rid of a marker, charge turn 3 charge the green one to get rid of another marker, and just at one point when I felt comfortable of rivaling the or using the auto and yellow one to play it to negate his Unisons. So that's why I kind of went this order for this particular turn or this particular game.
Yeah. I notice a lot of SS4 players as they play the deck more, they kind of figure out the pathing that they need to take. This being a odd matchup where Unisons are really heavily favored, you kind of have to shake up the path you take on your energy charge. But I've always liked seeing that kind of slow burn of like learning, like, oh, this is how I need to charge and get the most value out of this deck, because SS4 Bardock is just such a strong deck. It has an option for pretty much everything in the game. To compare it to another deck, it has a different way of dealing with it, but I compare this deck a lot to like Android 16 that has a card for every situation, except barrier removal kind of hurts both of them, but this deck actually has an option for barrier removal.
I will say I felt kind of like, for being the first time playing this, I felt kind of comfortable, because I feel like that's kind of how AOD is, kind of where it has paths, but this one did feel like it been to more options with, like you said, the energy part, and a lot of times the cards will have two, like there's a 2-drop yellow Goku where if you play it, the first auto is on player energy, you negate a card skill, I think switches to rest mode, and then the secondary auto is like you KO one of their cards in rest mode if it's skillless.
Yeah.
So like there's certain chains here and there that can work out perfectly. And going into this turn right here with combining, because we just kind of just blazed through this turn because I had to, unfortunately, learning Bardock in this first game, playing it ever, kind of unfortunately made our game drag out a little bit longer, because like you see as I'm searching my cards on later swings or even using SS4 call, I'm like reading the card, okay, check my hand real quick, because I'm not just checking which cards I have in my hand, I'm also checking the autos on those cards, comparing to the autos in my that I could potentially pull to my hand as well. So that last turn, with swinging towards the lead, playing the Gohan to rip the marker down to 2, swing the lead, and then swinging, then playing the red one to neg it down one more time on its on play was pretty nice. Just to be able to rip his entire Unison here, and then immediately following up with the battle card swing into his trunks, and then activating battle. So like he still had to combo up 2 cards if he wanted to keep it alive. So this was an interesting tech piece though for Jason. This is I think it's from set, like the set before, not the current set, but it's just a 1-drop Unison, which I think is really great.
Yeah, this card I've actually played more than the other cards that I've made for the deck. It seems to be more valuable because you can search top 5, pick a yellow sand or a 1-drop Unison. It comes in really handy.
And I was really thrown off you putting down the promo Chaozu, which in my honest opinion I wouldn't run. Reasons?
I run one. I only have one, but it's definitely depends on the situation. Sometimes it comes in handy, sometimes it doesn't. But you can choose any number of your opponent's battle cards, but the total ends up with 2 or less, and then you can switch them to rest mode. I like that. The reason why I run it, to be honest, is I have Bardock Father and Son, which is an easy way for me to play that card, is to get Chaozu out and then play the Bardock.
That's fair. Unfortunately, you don't get to benefit any of Chaozu's abilities, because during your leader swing, I did combo the 3-drop Goku and immediately played it, so I negate your skills. But following up with a TN, pretty smart, keep my board tapped down a little bit. And you can only choose the Goku in this situation.
Right, because the other one had barrier. Basically, we're just kind of like going back and forth, trying to keep cards off the battle area. I think the next turn, I was really struggling with my next turn, trying to figure out which route I needed to take.
We talked about it in the match. We kind of just saw the card be flashed a little bit. You do tech in a certain card. Do you have a sideboard by chance for Dripku?
Not really.
Because we do play best of one sideboards at our shop, and you do have what Fury of Unison of Fury, Vegeta, I think it is, which unfortunately does not really benefit at all against my deck.
No, it actually does fairly well with every other opponent that I've had playing it, other than this matchup. This matchup definitely was not the greatest for me, but I think I did fairly decent against you with the options that I had.
At least you're seeing unisons. Like, we've seen other players who play Dripku who for some reason don't see unisons for like the first 2 turns somehow.
Because cheating.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I run 17 unisons in my deck. So usually I will at least 1 or 2 within the first round or 2. So
real quick, go to this interaction before we pass it up. I swung at your unison, and I remember as soon as I declared the swing, I paused. I'm like, huh. I need to get Jimmy real quick to verify something real quick, because I think I just messed up. Because I know, like, in other particular setups where if a unison loses a marker, it immediately ends the battle. Like, it goes straight to the end step. And I had to get Jimmy over here, and you've mentioned, Jimmy, that it's been rolled both ways at events. So we just
I've heard both sides of it. The way I've always leaned towards is that when the card has a marker removed, it just ends the battle, because that's just how it's always been. I've heard the argument that it's only when the card is like negged out in certain situations where it'll neg out, the unison dies, it loses a marker, resets the battle. But I've also seen judges on this particular SS4 leader. I have emailed Bandai, and I have messaged a couple other judges I'm acquaintances with to get their opinions on it and their word, because I've heard so many different things, and I feel like this card's been out long enough that we should have just a straightforward ruling about it. It's just one of those weird interactions in this game that, like, it should be clear cut, but just because of the wording of the game, it gets a little weird. But we ruled it as the way that I've heard the most, that when the unison has a marker removed, the battle ends.
Yeah, and that's what I thought as well. That's why immediately at least that's the way I felt, because that's why I called you upon to come into our match. And you can see here, I finally got a chance to establish the blue guy. Got a couple draws. He got a draw. He got a crit. We're all happy, I think. But you did keep it tapped down for my next turn, though, using Tien.
Yeah. So I had a few options going in to the next turn, because I haven't awakened yet. I don't know. I think I got too many options, too many paths in this in my deck so far. I got to figure out which one's the best one to do. I might actually take a couple of cards out, because I got the Son Goku Return of the Dragon Fist in this deck. I only run a 1 of, but the Gift from the Earth I have too. It's just, I don't know. I get too many options and don't know which path to take usually when it gets this far in the game.
I was really intrigued that you charged at 1 Vegeta, but I think I kept you at 1 more. Before I played a card, I put you down to 1 marker every time, I felt like.
Yeah, because I had two in my hand for like the first like 2-3 rounds. So once I figured out that I was probably not going to be able to play both of them, I just went ahead and charged one.
And you swinging here and taking the life. When you did, I was like, oh, okay. Instead of just going through the Waken and then just swinging, just placing one down, thought it was very interesting.
I did it that way. That way I can get one energy open, and then when I awaken, I just needed the extra card for some reason. I can't really remember.
So yeah, defensive steps using Roshi's to pick up the red energy, replace it down to just neg out your Krillin again, just so you can lose a marker. I could have hit your Vegeta, but it wouldn't have made a difference. And I think the fact that it allows you to hit a Unison, especially in like current Unisons being used right now, a lot of them for key decks are 5 or 10k, so it just comes in handy now.
Yeah, this was definitely a tough matchup for me.
And yeah, you can't even establish, unfortunately, a blocker because based on all the things the leader gets, I tap your blocker down before you even have a chance to activate it. So now you're forced to lose another marker and then potentially take this damage as well.
Yeah, it doesn't help too that your leader is always like an odd number that I either have to combo up with or just let the attack go through, or like bounce. So that was something else I found slightly difficult dealing with this matchup.
I think that's going to be a very strong leader going forward, especially with a lot of these E leaders being a 20k base. Having a leader that is essentially a 20k base is going to be fairly strong, and it having so many toolbox options with you now having to worry about Z decks and having more space in the main deck for more tech options for your opponent's list. Having like a Swiss Army knife is going to be very strong going into the Zenkai block. Plus, we could possibly get some support with the Z deck in this list, making it even more of a toolbox style, which would be very interesting.
I can't wait for this stuff to come out.
Yeah. It's all looking fantastic. I'm a little bit on the Gogeta train, but
Just you and everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Until everybody realizes it's kind of shit. But hopefully I'll be incorrect on that.
So here I got a chance to establish SS4 Thwarting, which has triple attack. I had cards to combo up. You are currently at 1 life. And instead of just comboing my hand out, I was like, alright, cool, 1 swing. And you're like, Final Flash. I'm like, fuck you. Pass turn, because I can't do anything else.
Yeah, I was holding on that one.
Yeah, you could have got that second swing in and then got the restand off of the auto since it had already procced and resolved.
I didn't even think about that. I could have, yeah. No, I could have gotten the second attack out of that one. Because it's the auto's on the first swing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just like, all right, take another turn. You deserved it, I guess.
Yeah, you would have got the second restand off a triple attack since it's a
it's on swing proc.
Yeah, it's on swing auto. Which that's something kind of funky to talk about, how the triple attack is essentially a twice per turn auto. You don't see that a lot in this game. It's kind of interesting. I'd like to see more twice per turn text on cards. That'd be kind of fun.
Man, you try and confuse the hell out of people with that one.
I mean, Limit already confused the shit out of people anyway, so who cares?
So here you pay 3. the kind of boost up, kill everything else on my board because it does ignore barrier. And the leader's currently at 20 base, but now your leader's also at 20 and your Unison's 25. And even though you didn't combo, I choose to still combo and then played this Goku just to to blank the rest of your card's effects. So technically, he actually, no, sorry, that's resetting. So, but you still get one more swing out of it, and you still have your leader swing afterwards. Yeah.
Because it did, when it negated my skills for the turn, it definitely got me. Because I was planning on this going all out and just swinging 3 times with it, but at least I was able to swing twice.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I think I was only playing 3 of these guys. I did some last minute adjustments because I wanted to test a few other things out that I've kind of looked into. Nah, man, negging a Unison, especially in today's format, nah, I'm good. We need to put that 4th one back in here. I didn't realize like how good that was.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though you tapped out to kind of boost up your guy, just in case you had an over or something like that, I wanted to verify one more blocker just to be safe. But you went ahead and just passed turn. I'm like, okay, cool. I think this might be it, and it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good match.
No, it definitely was a lot of back and forth. And if you all enjoyed the match, keep in mind there's buttons down below and on the screen while I pass over to Fluffed.
Absolutely. It's really funny how Bancroft has identified that minusing the Unison effect to be incredibly prevalent in SS4. And in my experience, I've seen a lot of people that's like their least used effect amongst all the charging effects. And you've really gravitated and like really seen the value in that. So I just think that's kind of odd, but funny in its own little way. But as always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and fluff out.